United States House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has arrived in Taiwan despite repeated warnings from Chinese authorities. Let's discuss this further with International Studies Professor Renato de Castro, who joins us now over Zoom. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, let's backtrack a little bit from the issue and get a bit more context for our viewers. Can you explain, for the sake of explanation, why China is violently or vehemently opposed to Speaker Pelosi's visit to Taiwan?
Well, number one, of course, now China is more powerful. China, of course, has an agenda when it comes to the issue regarding Taiwan. No less than, of course, President Xi Jinping announced early on that he intends to change the status quo in the Taiwan Strait by, of course, effecting finally the unification between mainland China and Taiwan. He announced it. He set a deadline. So this is the backdrop. So the situation has entirely changed, primarily because now you have a more powerful and assertive China, whose president has, of course, a clear-cut agenda. That is, of course, effecting the unification between mainland China and Taiwan, whether by force or through peaceful means. And, of course, eventually ending the long goal of the Chinese Communist Party, and that is to end the long civil war in China.
That's right. So unification, of course, the United States has said that, and even China has said that this does not in any way affect the unification goals or the U.S. recognizing the One China policy. However, a lot of people in mainland China are apparently disappointed. I was going through a report from Bloomberg. They're saying that, Xi Jinping made such big threats and actually he has not delivered in all of them, and they're actually a little bit disappointed. Can you talk us through this? Was this also?
He steered.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stirred the pot. He tried to generate a rally around the flag effect, to the point that even warning President Joe Biden, don't play free fire because you will get burned. You don't talk to the president only of the only superpower in that manner. He's basically provoking, asking the United States to react. And of course, the initial United States reaction is that we will not go down to the level of saber rattling. It was basically China who started that saber rattling, coming out with very strong rhetorics that the military will not stand by idly if Speaker Pelosi would go to Taiwan, then conducting this military exercises, then sending planes to the People's Liberation Army's Air Force across the Taiwan Air Defense Identification Zone, and currently, of course, conducting 5 major military exercises around Taiwan. So China played the hard ball. And of course, if at the last moment you basically held onto your punches, then that creates a problem of credibility.
All right. What about these trade sanctions between Taiwan and China? There's already been bans from Chinese exports to Taiwan and also a concurrent ban on Taiwanese imports into China. What can you say about that? That is, of course, par for the course. Can we expect it to escalate, Professor?
Sure. This will not be the first and last crisis under the situation. Aside from the fact that you have this, this goal of President Xi Jinping to finally effect the unification between the mainland and, of course, Taiwan, you have the ongoing great power strategic rivalry, triggered, of course, by the Russian invasion of Ukraine this year. So the world is practically divided into 2 camps. One camp, of course, you have China and Russia, the strategic alignment, and of course, versus the United States. So that's a wider situation right now. Those trade sanctions, between Taiwan and China, they'll have impact, but you have to look at the bigger picture.
All right,
this crisis is also happening amidst a major great power strategic rivalry.
Right. We all know that, of course, not only Taiwan in at least the Asian region or the South Asian region, it's also us here in the Philippines. We are staunchly backed by the United States, and they will always say that they do stand by their democratic partners here in the region. How is this likely to impact the Philippines in any way in terms of foreign policy or something else?
Well, if you have a push comes to shove situation in the Taiwan Straits, and you have a shooting incident between the United States and China, we'll have to take into account. We are a treaty ally of the United States. If we expect the Americans to assist us in the South China Sea dispute, then of course the United States also expect us to assist them, just in case you have the push comes to shove situation in the Taiwan Straits. Plus, of course, there's also the element of geography. We're very close to Taiwan. You know, just a narrow passage channel separating us between Taiwan and, of course, the Philippines. So we have to factor those variables in.
Right. So that leads me to my next question, Professor. How will this affect or impact Taiwanese and Philippine relationship or relations moving forward?
Well, at this point in time, it's very crucial that we engage the Taiwanese in a informal negotiation. Of course, we don't have a diplomatic relation with Taiwan, but we have a common interest with Taiwan, and this is something we have not discussed. In the light of this crisis, the status of 150,000 Filipino OFWs in Taiwan. If you have a major conflict between Taiwan and China, how will we be able to evacuate those 150,000 of our countrymen who are working in Taiwan? We simply don't have the capability to bring them either by commercial or military means. So this is a factor that we will have to take into account.
All right, very much a human interest thing and a very civil-oriented thing. We will, I guess, discuss things further as they move along. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Yeah.
All right, International Studies Professor Renato de Castro over Zoom. Thank you, sir.